began not as a storm, but as a quiet, menacing promise. What started as a whisper of rain, a gray drizzle coating the rooftops of Hubei province, soon became a declaration of war by the sky. In the heart of central China, particularly in Xianfeng County, this unrelenting downpour quickly escalated into a torrential assault that nature itself could not contain. By morning, there was only chaos. Rivers, once familiar lifelines, turned savage. Drainage systems, the hidden veins of the city, failed under the weight of a rainfall that was simply without precedent. And then entire neighborhoods began to drown.
Xe都冇得人冇得過嚟啊，好爽啊！中間有台漏電電死你啊！咁閪高㗎！
In just a few hours, more water fell than the region typically sees in an entire month. The landscape was terrifyingly remade. Hillside villages and low-lying towns vanished, submerged under a rising tide of brown water. From above, the world appeared as a vast inland sea, an endless expanse of muddy water broken only by the highest tree canopies and the desperate peaks of rooftops. Roads dissolved, markets disappeared, entire communities were simply erased by the flood.
这里是龙海路隧道，隧道那个头，里面还有人，有好几个人淹死了里面。
The deluge left behind a scar of devastation. The human cost was immediate and staggering. Tens of thousands were displaced, forced from their homes in the dead of night, with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Structures that had stood for generations collapsed into the churning currents. Vehicles were tossed about like paper boats, and familiar streets were transformed into gushing, violent rivers that pulled apart everything in their path. Onlookers could only stand helpless as walls of water roared through their hometowns. We heard stories of mothers clutching their children, their only thought to shield them, the elderly carried on the shoulders of neighbors through chest-deep blood. Of those who couldn't flee in time, trapped by the rising tide, frantically seeking any patch of higher ground.
东南榕江县辣子寨三小门口这里。
海汪汪的一片，这里从那里到这里。
Even schools, places of sanctuary, were not spared. Classrooms filled with water in minutes, forcing hurried evacuations as books and desks floated past the windows in a surreal procession. Across the province, a symphony of destruction played out. Public transport screeched to a halt and emergency sirens echoed through the rain-soaked sky. There was no time for preparation, only for survival.
Malu.
This catastrophe did not arrive in isolation. It was part of a grim rhythm playing out across southern China, as other provinces had suffered similar fates just days earlier. The science behind this new normal is direct and unforgiving. Experts are unanimous that the driving force is climate change. As our planet warms, the hydrological cycle intensifies. More moisture is held in the atmosphere, leading to heavier, more prolonged rainfall. For mountainous regions like Hubei, the steep terrain, already prone to erosion, becomes treacherous when saturated. Landslides are no longer just possible. They become inevitable. Even as the flood waters began to recede, they left behind a hidden danger. The soaked hillsides, weakened and unstable, began to crumble. This is the second wave of the disaster, the threat that lingers in the loosened earth, and the invisible damage to dams and bridges. The very ground became an enemy.
往岸边的地方撤离。
Amidst the chaos, however, signs of an unbreakable human spirit emerged. Local and provincial governments launched rapid response efforts. Military units were deployed, their boats patrolling submerged streets. Volunteers arrived in droves, young and old, bringing food, clothing, and comfort. Shelters sprang up in schools, and rescue teams worked tirelessly, battling the elements to reach the stranded. Each life rescued was a miracle. Each life lost, a tragedy that shook families to their core.
小孩一定运走了哈。
滴水水东第二次水淹了，现在是水越。
But this disaster must be seen as more than a regional tragedy. It is a warning, a global signal. It has exposed the deep vulnerabilities in our systems, revealing that even cities that believe themselves prepared are not ready for the escalating threat of extreme weather. What is needed now is not just recovery, but reinvention, a future that demands smarter water management, resilient infrastructure, and urban planning that accounts for the worst-case climate scenarios. The cost of inaction is no longer theoretical. It is measured in broken families, collapsed schools, and grieving communities. The journey ahead is daunting, but as the people of Hubei are showing the world, even amidst the deepest grief, there is an unbreakable spirit to carry on, to rebuild, and to reach for higher ground. The time for waiting has passed. The time for action is now.
我们现在已经拉好警戒线了。
来了来了，他来了。